Okay guys, is my voice audible? So let's start with the video. Okay, so guys, hello and welcome everyone. So today is 2nd of January 2023 and let's start with the today's newspaper analysis discussion. Actually, what happened, I started video 5 minutes back. So I was taking the newspaper overview, then I realized that the live has not just started. So again, I'm starting with the today's video. Okay guys, so let's start with the video. Before that, I would like to tell you that synoptic notes of this entire session can be downloaded from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel has been given in description box in YouTube. In those synoptic notes, all the relevant articles that we are going to discuss along with the editorials, they have been covered. So you can download it from there. Now, before starting the detailed discussion, let's see overview of the newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are actually important in today's newspaper and what is the placement of these particular articles. So let's see overview first. Now, the first article, India asked Pakistan to free prisoners. Now, we'll see this particular article and what are the key details here. So, this particular development can be seen that how the confidence building measures between India and Pakistan can be expanded. Then, December GST revenue collection, not important article guys, because month to month GST collections and their comparison with the previous months is not that much important. However, when economics are related, broadly the economic indicators we see. So then the political article etc. has been there, not very much important for examination. Then coming to city section, vibrant nightlife in Delhi. Okay, over here is the last. We see one article talking about women's driver seat motivates Parivartan. Now this article guys will see with respect to the case study. This article will see with respect to the case study for ethics GS paper number 4. Fine. Fine. Then moving on to the state section. Here the Bharat Jodo Yatra to reach UP. Now basically guys, the political article has been here. Just a minute guys, is voice clear? Okay, just a minute guys, give me 1 minute, let me fix the voice issue. Okay guys, so I hope that the voice issue will not come now. Okay, chalo guys, let's again take up. So basically in the regional section, mainly political issues etc. have been given. No need to go too much in the detail here. Now moving on, we reach to editorial section, and here the India's dilemma in an Asian century article is talking about that whether India should, whether the multipolarity that will be rising will be good, beneficial for India or not. Then ayes and nays. Now this article is talking about recent development where Election Commission of India has provided that they will introduce remote voting. Okay, now I had covered this particular article in much details already on the Friday newspaper analysis that we have taken up. Then moving on, Bolsonaro's legacy will take time to undo. So this is guys the article talking mainly about political developments in Brazil. Now for examination, do you need to go too much in this particular article? No, not at all needed. Then a broken formula. So recently government has revised the interest rates in small saving schemes. So the article is talking about that how much increase has been there. Fine, 10 to 30 basis points minimal increase is there. Now you don't need to track and you don't need to read the interest rates hike that has happened for our examination. Fine. Then moving on in this particular direction, India, China between pre-1962 and now, we'll see this particular article as how the equation between India and China has changed. Then further moving on, bad loans share at a decadal low in Indian banks. Now this particular article talks about the issue of NPA. We'll see this particular article also. moving on guys, after that the next page, text and context, the dangers of deep fakes. We'll see this particular article with respect to the exam as what it is talking about. Then further, has India tided over the problem of bad loans? So this article also we will cover along with the editorial article on bad loans that was there. Then the advent of absolute chaos in MGNREGA under the guise of transparency. So recently, national mobile monitoring software has been deployed, and we'll see this article. Moreover, we'll also see this issue that how many number of times technology cannot be the smart solution to many simple problems. Okay, we'll see that. Then further moving on, after that guys, here India Austria to sign migration and mobility agreement. We'll see what is this mobility agreement and what are the key highlights of this agreement. We'll see here. Then further moving on, unemployment rate rises to 8.3%. We'll see this particular article. Then guys, moving on, after that, majorly here the political news etc has been filled. Okay, much important articles are not there because these political developments, political undertones that are there, they are not important for our examination. Fine, you know this thing already. Then after that, moving on, center states to join hand to promote millet consumption. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. After that guys, moving on, here on the world page, majorly the Ukrainian cheers as Russian drones are shot down. Lula returns to third term as Brazil president. Okay, so basically on international page, I tell you in almost every class that those developments are important which directly hold some implication on India's foreign policy or where India's international interests are involved. Now, moving on, after that, today we don't have business page or economy page because it is on Monday, and on Monday this money wise page comes which majorly contains investing advices etc, and then we have sports page. So this is guys the overview of this entire article, now this entire newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in detail. Okay, moving on now guys, before moving, I would like to talk on certain important things. Just I will take your 1 minute or so. So we have changed this particular pattern for newspaper discussion. Okay, so earlier pattern was different where I was taking I was sitting in one frame, and on one frame this particular newspaper was was being shown. Now certain things I want to tell you that I got certain comments that basically quality issue and all these kind of things are coming. But guys, just understand this particular thing that I have taken this initiative to change this format just to make it more interactive. Okay. Certain things I want to tell you that, see, first of all, I had basically invested a substantial chunk of my own personal savings just to upgrade this particular setup, and that is only done in order to make your experience more better. Now you know this particular thing that this YouTube is not a revenue stream for me. Fine, so it would have been very convenient for me. ठीक है, अगर मैं यहाँ पे कुछ भी इसको अपग्रेड नहीं करता तो वो मेरे लिए बहुत अच्छा था. That was very convenient for me. But we are doing it to make better. Fine. So just I will expect that 2-3 days you cooperate with us because there are some technical glitches. They will be over with the time. Okay, when I was making the video in old format, if you see my old videos, there were also a lot of problems that came in the start. Okay, so you be with us and all these particular things will be sorted out. Second thing is that guys, if you have ever been in my offline class, okay, or the students who are in my offline class, you can ask with them that in my class I have never sat down in my class. ठीक है, इवन इफ देयर इज अ 6 आवर्स क्लास, तो मैं 6 घंटे की क्लास में भी खड़े होकर पढ़ाता हूं, बिकॉज अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग, अ टीचर इज नॉट ओनली गिविंग यू नॉलेज, अ टीचर ऑल्सो ट्रांसफर्स हिज एनर्जी और हर एनर्जी टू यू. Okay, so that energy transmission is a very important aspect for the teaching. And while I was sitting and I was telling all that particular thing, I didn't felt that I can transfuse that particular energy. Okay. Third reason that we have switched to this particular factor is also that you will find over the days that many such kind of interactiveness we will bring in this particular session, and it eventually will benefit for you. Moreover, guys, dekho, now it's winters in Delhi. Okay, and if you have been to Delhi or if you are living in Delhi, you know what it feels like this time. It would have been very convenient for me to sit and to take a lecture. It would be comfortable for me. Now it is not comfortable, but we are doing all these particular things to make session more better. Okay, so this process will take just 1-2 days, okay, and the transition will happen. So please be don't resistant to change if it's coming. You have to be acceptable to change. Is it clear or not? So that is something I hope that you will understand all this particular thing. Now, starting up with the discussion. Okay, so before starting our class, we take a GS quotation, and this particular quotation is actually very important for our examination. So today we'll take quotation from John Maxwell. So John Maxwell says that many of us want the perks of leadership without the price of leadership. So we want that, see, with the leadership, a lot of perks come. With leadership, a lot of power comes, a lot of authority comes. We need such power, we need such authority, but we don't need to give price of leadership, that is accountability and responsibility. So people want power without accountability, but that is not possible. So leadership always will have an element of accountability and responsibility that will come. Clear? So you can use this particular quotation in GS paper number 4 ethics. In GS paper number 4 ethics, this particular quotation can be used. Okay. Now moving on, and let's take the first article. So the first article here we are taking is the advent of absolute chaos in MGNREGA. The advent of absolute chaos in MGNREGA. Now this particular article, guys, is taken from the text and the context section. Now, before going in this particular article, let's see the utility of this article, and let's also see that how this particular article is going to make sense for our examination. So first of all, this article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, critical evaluation of government schemes. Critical evaluation of government schemes. Now, moving on. Okay. So guys, first of all, understand this particular thing. Understand this particular thing, that we have MGNREGA Act. MGNREGA Act. MGNREGA stands for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Now, under MGNREGA, government guarantees that minimum 100 days of paid employment will be given to every household. 100 days of paid employment will be given to every household. It's not that only BPL people will be covered or scheduled caste, scheduled tribe people will be covered. Every household in the rural areas can claim this particular employment. Now, over the years, there have been many limitations in the MGNREGA Act. The limitations are that there is lack of transparency. There is lack of transparency. There was a lot of corruption. There were lot of leakages in the MGNREGA Act. Majorly, the leakages were of the ghost beneficiaries. Now, what is the ghost beneficiaries, guys? Understand this particular thing, that in MGNREGA, there is a muster roll that is to be prepared. In MGNREGA, a muster roll is to be prepared. Muster roll is simply list of all people who are working at MGNREGA site. Who are working at MGNREGA site. Now, let's say Mr. A. Mr. A is the friend of a Mr. A is, let's say, the friend of Sarpanch. Mr. A is actually not working on the field, but his name is still in muster roll. Mr. A is not working on the field, but his name is in the muster roll. Why? Because he is the friend of the Sarpanch. What will happen? The wages are going to Mr. A even when Mr. A is not working actively here. So what happening? The corruption is happening. Leakages are happening. Many number of times, the people who have actually worked at a MGNREGA site, they were not getting their wages on the time. Is it clear or not? So basically, in order to resolve this particular issue, government has recently brought an initiative. And what is this particular initiative? Initiative is for digital attendance. Initiative is for digital attendance. So what has happened? Government had brought this particular thing, that the mates who are working at MGNREGA site, they need to register the digital attendance. Now you need to understand that who are the mate. So basically, under MGNREGA site, there is one supervisor who will supervise that particular site. Is it clear? Traditionally, in MGNREGA, it has been emphasized that mates should be women. So one women or majorly women mates, they supervise that entire site. So mate needs to have a smartphone. Mate needs to have a smartphone. And on that particular smartphone, mate need to ensure that everybody's digital attendance is being taken up. And for that digital attendance, there are two time-stamped and geo-stamped photographs that are needed. Okay, so there are two time-stamped photograph. For example, one photograph will be taken at 9 a.m. Let's say one photograph will be taken at 9 a.m. and second photographs, let's say, will be taken at 6 p.m. in the evening. Okay, so time-stamped, geo-stamped photographs have to be uploaded. Okay, only after that the money or the wages will be released. So this is a digital technology that government has brought. Now over this particular development, there are a lot of criticisms that are coming. It's being said that rather than solving the problem, this new system of digital attendance will bring many more problems. Let's understand this particular development in little bit more detail. Okay, let's understand this particular development in little bit more detail. Now, first of all, what's the name of this particular software that government has brought? Okay, what's the name of this particular software that government has brought? Okay, so basically this software is called as National Mobile Monitoring Software. Just a minute. So this software is National Mobile Monitoring Software. Now, this particular application of digital attendance was introduced in 2021 by Ministry of Rural Development, and as I told you, government had said that this particular software is meant to improve citizens oversight. It is meant to increase the transparency in this particular system. As I have told you that there were lot of leakages that were happening. Now, further in this particular direction, guys, I have provided you that under MGNREGA, there are the mates. Who are mates? Mates are local women at panchayat level who ensure that everybody is working. Now, they have to ensure that real-time photographs who are geotagged are to be uploaded. Now, what are challenges that will come one by one? First of all, challenge, guys, that will come here is that it defeats fundamentally the spirit of MGNREGA. MGNREGA Act aims to give wages to people on basis of work that they have done rather than the time that they have spent. When we talk about women enrollment in MGNREGA, we found this particular thing that there are more number of women workers who have worked in MGNREGA. For example, in financial year 21-22, we find this particular thing that out of total worker, 54.7% were women. Now, traditionally, we know this particular thing that women have a lot of household responsibilities. They have to do their domestic works. Now, MGNREGA offered them flexibility. For example, they can come during the time of noon, they can come during the time of evening when they don't have work, and they can complete their work and they might go. But now, when you have to upload the time-stamped photograph, it means that they have to be available on work site during the entire day. Now, many of the women will find it problematic and they might drop out of MGNREGA work, and their right to work will get impacted. Their right to work will get impacted. So this is one problem that will come. Then second problem that comes, guys, here, is that a stable internet connection is very much needed. Stable network connection is very much needed. But we know this particular thing that still there are technical gaps because of which 5G connectivity in fact 4G connectivity is not there in lot of villages. So because of the stable network, there will be problem in implementation of this national mobile monitoring software. Now understand this particular thing that if, let's say, on application software there is some kind of a glitch, a person might not be able to upload their attendance, and if they will not be able to upload their attendance, how they will get their wages? Again, it will be bringing many disputes. Then next problem, we have many of case studies in the states such as Kerala and Jharkhand. They have already implemented this particular initiative and they are finding problem that uploading attendance is a very big problem because stable network is not there. So therefore, it will bring one challenge on this particular aspect. Then next challenge that comes here is, guys, that it will impact mates as well. I told you mate is a supervisor over a work site, and majority of mates are women in MGNREGA. But we know this particular thing that many of the women, they don't own a smartphone. They don't own a smartphone, and even they cannot invest on smartphones because the wages that are being given to mates are marginally high than the wages that are being given to the workers. So owning a 10,000, 12,000 rupees smartphone for a mate under MGNREGA, and affording the internet connection for that particular thing is not very much feasible. So it will be discriminating against the women. This is one more challenge that will come. Further, guys, the issue that will be coming in this particular direction is that earlier what happened, the government came out with the notification that this national monitoring mobile software digital attendance is mandatory where there are minimum 20 workers are working. But now what has happened, government has from 2023 1st of January has provided that every site in MGNREGA has to deploy this national mobile monitoring software. So all these problems are there. Now what can be solution? So it's being provided that rather implementing this particular thing, such a technological solution, we should have focused on bringing social audit. We should have focused on bringing social audit. Now what is social audit? Social audit means bringing the people in order to ensure that the work that has been done, it has been done as per the suitable standards. For example, people will come, people will see how much cost has been incurred, how much cost has been incurred in material, how much cost has been incurred for the wages, and these people themselves will ensure that there is no corruption, there is no transparency. So you bring people in the process of auditing a particular project in MGNREGA. So this social audit would have been better. This particular thing has also allowed the local right holders, local people in the decision making process. It has held accountable, it has held the administration accountable, and this is also an example of strengthening of grassroots democracy that would have happened. Is it clear or not? So this is the better way that would have been brought. Now, just I told you before starting this particular article that we will see that how many number of times the things which look smart, the things which look technological are not that much suitable, they are not that much convenient. Now understand this particular thing, that what we are doing, we are bringing a tech solution. We are bringing a tech solution, but this technology is not taking in account the limitation of the people, and as it is not taking in account the limitation of the people, this particular technology sounds to be more elitist. It sounds to be more elitist. So therefore, this is one example that a solution is a tech savvy, but the solution is not sensitive to people's ground situations. Now moving to next article. Okay, moving to the next article. Okay, so now this article is again taken from text and context art page, and the article reads the danger of deep fakes. Now this particular article will understand that first of all what are deep fakes. We'll see that how these deep fakes are creating problems, what are regulatory mechanisms around the deep fakes in the world as well as in India. Now one more thing, there is multiple articles that have come on deepfakes because this is lot in news, and we can expect a direct question on deepfakes might come. A direct question on deepfakes might come in this particular year's paper. Now first of all, what is a deepfake? What is a deepfake? You need to understand this particular thing. Now just a minute. So what is a deepfake? Deepfake is called as synthetic. Deepfake are called as synthetic hyper realistic media. Synthetic hyper realistic media. Okay. Now you might have seen Photoshop. You might have seen Photoshop where the picture of a person is being, where the photograph of a person is being reimposed on the body of another person. A person is being shown in a situation that he is doing something which actually he has not done. But now technology has become even more sensitive. Now entire videos can be photoshopped. Now entire videos can be photoshopped. You'll be seeing people where you find that people are speaking something which they have actually never done. You'll find the people that they are actually saying the words which they have never done. Okay, but you cannot tell that whether this video is morphed, whether this video is doctored, or whether that particular video is real one. So deep fakes are very hyper realistic medias, synthetic medias, manufactured medias, where the people are being shown to do certain things which they have actually never done. Now these deep fakes, they are becoming a very big challenge. Why they are becoming a very big challenge? We'll understand that particular thing. So what are deep fakes? These are the digital media Fine, video, audio, and images is edited and manipulated using artificial intelligence. Now, these AI generated videos, they have a lot of application. For example, they have application in accessibility, education, film production. Now, guys, just I want to give you one example. What happened just last Deepavali, there was a campaign that was started by Cadbury, and in that particular campaign, they provided that you can go to the Cadbury's website, you can upload the name of your shop, and Shah Rukh Khan will speak name of your shop. For example, your shop name is uh, XYZ sweet shop. So Shah Rukh Khan will say that on this Deepavali you should buy sweets from this sweet shop only. Now that was an example of deep fake. Okay, that deep fake was being used for the advertisement. So today these deep fakes have role in education. Okay, they have role in accessibility, they have role in film production, criminal forensic, artistic expression, but they are bringing a problem. That is that today these deep fakes are being used in the pornography. Okay, today when we talk about these deep fake videos, 96% of the deep fake videos, they are pornographic videos, and here they are trying to demean, they are trying to victimize the women. Then second problem of these deep fakes is that many a times these deep fakes can depict a person doing some kind of an anti-social behavior. Okay, for example, a person making a kind of a speech. You can create a deep fake where you can show a person that he is making a speech against a particular set of people, a particular religion. So this is something that will bring a problem. Now even a person who has been a victim of deep fake might debunk that I have never said that particular thing by presenting an alibi, by presenting some kind of a witness. But by the time he will prove his innocence, the damage has already happened. So this deep fake is going to depict the people that they have done something wrong, they have said something wrong, which actually they have not done. The next problem that comes in the deep fake is that, guys, basically it brings the short term as well as long term harm on the credibility of media. Now many number of times media are showing some kind of a video and later it is found that that video was not true, that video was doctored. So the credibility of media houses will be impacted by these deep fakes. Next problem that comes by the deepfakes is that malicious nation states can take the advantage of these deepfakes. They can spread some havoc, they can spread some kind of a fake news, and by that particular thing they might impact public safety. For example, tomorrow the China can make a deep fake of a minister from India claiming that okay, this one health crisis is coming or this particular problem is coming. What can happen? They might spread unrest. So these malicious nation states, they might take advantage of such deep fakes. The next issue that comes here is that insurgent or terrorist organizations can also show their adversaries as making inflammatory speeches. Now all the time, guys, we see this particular thing that the terrorists, they take advantage, okay, of the innocent people. They brainwash the people, and now that brainwashing can become easy. What can happen? The terrorist organizations, they can show that some leaders are making inflammatory speeches and they can brainwash people by showing that particular thing. So these deep fakes again create a problem here. Then another problem with the deep fakes is that it leads to liar's dividend. Now this is a very important keyword. Many number of times, let's say I have spoken something wrong. Okay, even I'll say that I have not done, that was a deep fake. So people will take excuse of deep fakes to rubbish anything which they have actually done. So what happened? Another concern is liar films and undesirable truth is dismissed as a deep fake or fake news. Okay, now what can be solution in this particular direction? So solutions in this particular direction is that number one, we need to bring media literacy. We need to bring media literacy so that media, before showing a video, they can verify that whether the video is right or not. Then next thing what they can do, we need to bring the regulations, we need to bring the law to control the deep fakes. And for bringing that particular regulation, the collaboration by the government, civil society, NGO, public spirited individuals, all they need to come together and they need to frame a policy that how these deep fakes can be controlled. Now here I am just going to show you the example of some other countries which have taken steps to control deep fakes. Now this particular part is not available in the in the article that has been published by the Hindu newspaper. So I will advise you, you either download the PDF or you please note down these particular points. Now, first of all, what has happened? Recently, China has introduced a policy to curb the deep fakes. Now, China, specifically the China's law provides that if there is any deep fake video that is uploaded on internet, that video should be labeled that this is a deep fake video, and it should be traced back to its source. From where it was generated, it should be traceable to that source. This is China's policy on deep fake. Then after that, number two, we see this particular thing that European Union has also recently prepared the code of practices to stop the spread of disinformation through deep fakes. Now, European Union specifically has imposed obligation on social media companies such as Google, Meta, Twitter, that they need to take measure in order to reduce the deep fakes. And if they don't take that particular measures, or if they are not controlling the deep fakes, fines and penalties can be imposed to them, which could be as much as 6% of their annual global turnover. Okay, so this is something that the European Union is doing. Then USA has also come with a law with respect to the deep fake, and USA in 2021 has introduced Deepfake Task Force Act. And in this Deepfake Task Force Act, the Department of Homeland Security will assist in nabbing these deep fakes. So this is something that has been done in US. Now, what's the situation in India? Do we have any law in India to counter deepfakes? Sadly, we don't have any law in India to counter the deepfakes, but actually there are the other acts under which we can take assistance. For example, there is a Copyright Violation Act, Defamation Act, cyber felonies. They are dealt under the IT Act of 2000. So under these, deepfakes can be controlled, but we don't have a dedicated separate law to deal with this particular challenge. However, we should come out with such kind of a law in near future. So this is, guys, all about this particular deepfake article. Okay, now just I will take a minute's time and I will just show you this particular deepfake. One video I would like to show you on deepfake.
आपने अब तक व्हाट्सएप या इंस्टाग्राम पर कैडबरी का ये एड जरूर देखा होगा जिसे शाहरुख खान प्रमोट कर रहे हैं.
Okay, so just a minute, we'll see this particular ad.
To take the local store names in the ads. इस दिवाली आप भी ना अपने पास वाले चॉइस ऑफ फैशन से ही रोकी शॉप, पास वाले आजकल फैशन से ही, रॉयल फैशन से ही, इनके क्लॉथ्स से ही, पास वाली लक्ष्मी कलेक्शन से ही रोकी शॉप वाली आप भी.
Okay, so here what you can see, here you can see that the Shah Rukh Khan is taking the names of certain local shops. Now you cannot expect that the Shah Rukh Khan has actually made a video where he is taking all these names. But how that particular thing is possible? This particular thing is possible by the deep fakes that are there, that we actually are talking about. Okay, so these are the deep fakes, and this is the menace of this particular deep fakes. Okay, so I hope that this article is clear, and now moving to next article. Okay, so guys, the next article that we are going to take, the article, it talks about a minute. Okay, so the next article that we are going to take, this particular article talks about the millets. Okay, millets. So first of all, let's read the article and then we will going to understand it. Center states to join hands to promote millet consumption. Okay, now first of all, let's take some of the background information and after that we will take it. So in GS paper number 2, this article will be important. This article will be important in GS paper number 2. Issues related to hunger as well as food security, Guys, we know this particular thing, that the world is experiencing climate change. And as the world is experiencing the climate change, there will be a lot of crops that might be compromised. For example, we saw this particular thing that now the winters are becoming short. we see this particular thing, that the winters are becoming short, and if they are becoming short, it will impact the winter cereal crops production. So therefore today there is need that we need to have climate smart crops. We need to have climate smart crops. Climate smart crops. Now, what are the climate smart crops? These are those crops which are not sensitive to, that are not very much sensitive to moisture, that can withstand climate, that can withstand climate harshness, and thirdly, the crops which at the same time are nutritious as well. The crops which are nutritious as well. Particularly when we talk about India, understand this particular thing, that on global hunger index, India's rank is 107. So in order to deal with this particular hunger problem, we need to have such an climate smart crops, and here the millets comes in picture. When we talk about millets, guys, millets are hardy, drought resistant, climate resistant crops, and they are very much important because for their nutritious values. And in this particular direction, already what has happened, United Nations General Assembly, already the United Nations General Assembly in 2018 has provided that International Year for Millets, International Year of Millets should be observed. And now 2023 is being observed as International Year of Millets. And now at the same time, India is president at G20, and India is at the same time one of largest producer of millets. So India is going to use this opportunity to promote millets. Two developments: India biggest millet producer in the, one of the largest millet producer in the world. Second, International Year of Millets is being observed in 2023. So here the center as well as state governments, they'll come together. Center and state governments will come together and they will promote millet consumption. Now what has happened here? Entire 2023, okay, every month there will be certain ministries, okay, that will be given that particular month, and they will promote the millet consumption in their own states. Let me just explain this particular thing with the help of an example. Okay, so what is going to happen? For example, the month of January has been allocated to Union Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, and at the same time Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan governments, they have also been made as a participant in the month of January. What they are going to do? They will conduct International Year of Millet event. They will spread awareness, they will sensitize the people that how the consumption of millet is nutritious, how it is beneficial to the health, and all such kind of things will happen. For example, here we see this particular thing, that in the month of January, the sports ministry, it has planned activity that it will engage sports person, it will engage nutritionist, fitness experts, and they will be spreading awareness through the video messages. They will conduct the webinars on the millet, and world leading nutritionists, dietitians, elite athletes, they all will promote the millet consumption. And in this particular thing, Fit India application will also be used to spread the awareness about millet consumption. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the millet consumption, millet are often understood as a poor person's diet, and therefore many people don't consume that. But now we need to rebrand them as not the poor person's diet, rather as a superfood. Now at the same time, as we have discussed, that the state governments are also going to promote it. So Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Rajasthan, they will be conducting food festivals, and they will also train farmers on millet cultivation. Awareness campaigns will be started, because guys, understand this thing, awareing the people is very much important. Okay, and then other states also will be doing the similar kind of things in the other months. So focused, the months will be given to certain states and certain union ministries, and for every month they are going to do this particular kind of an activity. Okay, so this is something that has been provided in this particular article. However, here we can see all this particular background also, that International Year of Millets have been declared by United Nations General Assembly in 2018, and how millets play an important role in ensuring food security, nutritional security. And in this particular direction, guys, India can use this particular opportunity. To raise awareness, Fine. How millets can promote the sustainable production, how they are climate hardy, and how therefore in the climate change they play a very important role. So this is guys all about this particular article. And now we'll move to next article. Now we'll move to the next article. Okay, fine. So here guys, we have clubbed actually the two articles. Has India tided over the problem of bad loans? Now this particular article is taken from text and context section, and the below article, bad loans share at a decadal low in Indian banks. Now this particular article is taken from the editorial section. Okay, this particular article is taken from the editorial section, and by this particular article we are going to understand this entire issue of bad loans in India. Now first of all, before going on, what is utility of this particular article? This article will be important for prelims examination. So this particular article will be important for prelims examination plus GS paper number 3 economy. GS paper number 3 economy. Now basically guys, what is this non-performing assets that are being discussed in this particular article? So guys, we know this particular thing, that bank, they do two activities. They number one, what they do, bank take deposits, and then these deposits are given to people as a loan. Now when we talk about the deposit, guys, this deposit are shown in the bank's balance sheet on side of liabilities. Okay, on the side of liabilities. So these deposits are the liabilities for the bank, and the loan that the bank has given to the people, these loans are called as assets. So basically on a bank's balance sheet we have two sides. One is the side of liability and one is the side of the asset, and on the side of asset these loans are shown. Many number of times people who have taken the loan, they'll not return that loan, they'll not pay the interest, they'll not pay the principal, they'll not pay their EMIs. But what is happening? Still these loans are in the balance sheet of bank, but they will not come back. So they become non-performing assets. Okay. Now guys, these non-performing assets will bring a lot problem to the bank. Why? Because these loans at the end of the day has been given out of the deposit that the people has given first. Now the people who have given the deposit, they will come and they will ask their money. Bank cannot refuse them that we will not give you the money. But how the bank will give them money if their loans have become NPA? So if the number of NPA or the percentage of NPA increases in a banking system, it brings the threat to that country's financial viability. So therefore we need to reduce these NPAs as early as possible. Now guys, when an account is classified as NPA? When an account is classified as an NPA, understand this particular thing, that if interest plus principal is not paid for 90 days, an account is classified as NPA, non-performing asset. Now India had a very big problem of non-performing asset around the year 2014-2015. The non-performing asset accounts, they have shot up. Okay, but now the good news is that these non-performing asset account, they are coming down, and by that particular thing we can say that India's financial system is now in better health. Let's understand this particular article in little bit more detail. Okay, so basically guys, recently what has happened, the Reserve Bank of India's report had got published, which is giving the numbers about the NPA extent in India. Moreover, finance minister has also given certain statement about the NPA numbers in India. So as per Reserve Bank of India, it has been provided that right now the gross non-performing asset ratio of the scheduled commercial bank is at a 7-year low. Now what is the GNPA ratio? So basically guys, GNPA ratio is the ratio of what is GNPA? Gross non-performing asset. Suppose a bank has given the total loan of 100 crore rupees. This is a total loan that a bank has given 100 crore rupees. Out of that, let's say 10 crore has become NPA. They are not giving their principal, they are not giving their interest. So the gross NPA GNPA ratio becomes a 10%. So out of 100 crore, 10 crore had become NPA. So the GNPA will be standing somewhere around 10%. Okay, so this gross NPA ratio, it has come down and it is right now the 7-year low. Is it clear or not? So what are GNPAs? These are the bad loans which the borrower, this is the bad loans which a borrower is not in a condition to repay at the present moment. Now, understand this particular thing that these GNPAs, they are a very big problem. Why? Because when we talk about any bank has to always keep aside a provision, a small part of their profit as a buffer against NPA. Okay, obviously when these accounts will become NPA, from where they will recover that amount? From their profit. If bigger NPA, bigger profits have to be kept aside for the NPAs, and that particular thing will impact the expansion of the bank. That particular thing will impact the viability of that particular bank, and if the NPAs go above a particular level, then the entire bank might collapse. Now, basically guys, over the years, it has been provided by the Reserve Bank of India as well as the Finance Ministry that what has happened, around 10.1 lakh crore rupees, okay, 10.1 lakh crore rupees loans have been written off. These have been written off. Now, what does the meaning of that these loans have been written off? Now, just if you see here, I've told you that when we talk about the balance sheet of a bank, bank has deposits on one hand. Okay, just to see this particular thing, that banks have deposits on one hand and then there are the loans on the another hand, and the loans are treated as assets of a bank. Now, when we talk about a balance sheet of a bank has two sides, that is the liabilities and assets, and in the assets, the non-performing assets, in these particular assets, non-performing assets are also there. Okay, so what is happening? They are shown in your balance sheet, but they are not going to come back. So basically, true position, true financial health of a bank is not being reflected. So if bank is not able to recover that particular NPA, bank has to clean their balance sheet. So this particular amount, okay, NPAs, they are written off, and over the last few years we have seen this particular thing that around 10.1 lakh crore rupees of loans have been written off. Now, once this particular loan will be written off, what will happen? The bad banks, or in the case of India, National Asset Reconstruction Company Limited, NARCL, will be coming in between, and it will try to recover that particular loan money. And we found this particular thing that out of 10.1 lakh crore rupees bad loans that have been written, 1.32 lakh crore rupees only, they have been recovered. But what government focuses on? Government focus is to further bring down the number of NPA, as well as government wants to increase the recovery also. And what government strategy? Strategy is of number 1, recognition, number 2, resolution, number 3, recapitalization, and other reforms that government is bringing. For example, number 1, recognition. So basically, since 2014, the central bank has aggressively promoted the asset quality review. They have aggressively promoted asset quality review. What is asset quality review? They need to identify those accounts which might become NPA. Fine, for example, if EMI has not come for 30 days, 60 days. Okay, now account will become NPA at 90 days. So at 30 days, 60 days, they need to take steps immediately so that they can recover back the money. And if any asset is not becoming, it is becoming a non-performing, that asset is to be identified. So first of all, recognize. Then try to bring a resolution. Now, the majority of the the borrowers who are not giving the money, they are the industrial borrowers. Okay, so we also have the insolvency and bankruptcy code. So through insolvency and bankruptcy code, we need to found the resolution of the borrowers who have taken the money and who are not bringing it back. Then recapitalization. Now guys, understand this particular thing that I've told you, that around 10.1 lakh crore rupees, they have been written off. Okay, they have been written off from the scheduled commercial bank's balance sheet. Now obviously, this 10 lakh crore rupees, they are the rupee, this is the money which has earlier been given by the depositors. So how to pay back to them? Banks might not have that much profit that they can pay back this entire 10 lakh crore rupees. So therefore, government will give them the funding, that is the recapitalization. And under the Mission Indradhanush, now Mission Indradhanush on banking reforms, 70,000 crore rupees have been given as recapitalization. So government focuses on recapitalization, and government focuses on the wide-ranging reforms in the banking system so that this entire NPA problem can be brought down. Okay, so this is something, guys, that had happened. Moreover, over the last few years, 2014 onwards, bank has also focused to prevent the evergreening of loans. Now, what do we understand by this word evergreening of loan? Guys, let's say this particular thing, that you let's say I am a let's say I am a uh, let's say I am a person and I want to start I'm a person, I want to start a business of selling samosas. I want to sell samosa. I am starting this samosa business. I take loan from you, 10,000 rupees loan, and I said that I will make a lot of profit and I will return you this 10,000 rupees money with interest, and you gave me that particular loan. Now after 3-4 months I come to you and I say that my samosa business did not performed well, and all the 10,000 rupees that I have taken, now that particular revenue has gone, I ran in losses. If you want that I should give you back your 10,000 rupees, I need to do my business again. And for that particular thing, I again need money. So you please give me a fresh loan of 20,000 rupees. I will again start a business. And then these 20,000 rupees and earlier 10,000 rupees, I will give you total 30,000 rupees plus interest I'll give you. Okay, so you gave me an additional loan of 20,000 rupees. Then again, after 6 months, I come to you and I say that again I have ran in losses. And now if you want those 30,000 rupees back, you need to give me 50,000 rupees more loan. Now again, I'll start the business, and the total, this 50,000 and earlier 30,000, 80,000 rupees, I will give you back. So over the time, what will happen? A business, fine, who is not making a profit, it will be given loan at multiple number of times. This is evergreening. And by this particular evergreening, what has happened, the bank's balance sheet, okay, they had the bank's balance sheet, the bank's NPAs, they have bloated. So this evergreening will not be done now. So these are certain reforms that have been taken, and by all these particular reforms, the NPA problem has come down in India. Now here we are going to see some of graphs here. Here we'll see some of the graphs. So guys, now first of all, we see this particular thing, that September 2014, okay. Now if the picture is not visible, it's the issue in this clipping only, okay. September 2014. Now from September 2014, we have seen this particular thing, that gross NPAs, they started to increase. So chart shows the non-performing asset ratio of all the scheduled commercial banks. So after 2014, it started to rise and it came at 5.7%. It came at 5.7%, and since then it has come down, and today it is standing at a very less number, around 1.3. Okay, we see this particular thing, guys, that over the years, what has happened, the sector-wise percentage of share of all the outstanding credit, okay, it has also changed its direction, fine. So this is the development now, and it is actually a very, very positive development in this particular direction. So guys, I hope that you have understood this particular article, and now we'll move to next article. Before moving, guys, I will invite your doubts. If you have any doubt, you can raise your doubts. Yes, please. Yes, guys, any doubt? Yes, guys, any doubt? Okay, if you have any doubt, you may write your doubts. I will take them eventually. Now moving to next article. Moving to the next article. Okay. Now, the next article that we are going to take, India's dilemma in an ancient century. India's dilemma in an ancient century. Now guys, this particular article, first of all, will be important for GS paper number 2 IR. This article will see with respect to GS paper number 2 IR. GS paper number 2 IR. Now, before going in this particular article, let's take some of the background information, and after taking this particular background information, we'll go in the details of this particular article. So basically, guys, when we talk about 19th century, it was the century of Europe. 19th century was century of Europe. 20th century was a century of America. And when we talk about the 21st century, 21st century belongs to Asia. And therefore, often a word comes that the 21st century will be Asian century. Now, when we talk about this word Asian century, there can be two prospects of this Asian century. Number one, Asian century will be the century of Chinese hegemony. It will be the century of Chinese hegemony. Second issue that comes is that this particular century will be the century that is led by India. That is led by India. But guys, when we see right now the condition, we know this particular thing that the differential between China and India is huge. Differential between China and India on military capabilities, on economic capabilities is huge. So therefore, one more third alternative comes here is that the Asian century will be the century of multipolarity. It will be the century of the multipolarity. Multipolarity means that there will be the independent powers of Asia that will become a dominant. For example, China will be one pole. There can be the India that can be the other pole. That then the nations such as the Japan, South Korea, they can be another pole. Fine. And there are other emerging nations also, for example, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, they can be yet another pole. So multiple poles will be there and they will determine the Asian century, that is the 21st century. Now always guys, it is being provided that India wants that rather than the Chinese century, it should be a century of multipolarity. Multiple nations should have control in this particular scenario. But this article is talking about that even if it is the multipolarity, the situation is not going to be very favorable for India. So what are the challenges that India will favor even if it is a multipolarity? That particular article, that particular issue we are going to see here. Okay. Now, moving on. Moving on. Okay. So basically, it has been provided that when we talk about this particular year, that is the 2023, 2023 is going to further sharpen the fault line. We see this particular thing that right now the world is already afflicted in multiple issues. Number one, on economic front, there is very high inflation. Number two, on economic front, we see this particular thing that the growth is subdued, particularly in the Western countries. On strategic level, Russia-Ukraine war is going on. And again, on the strategic level, we see that Russia and China is on one hand, USA and the other Western countries are on one hand. So it is bringing a kind of a crisis. Now, when we talk about India, guys, when we talk about the Asia, we see this particular thing that in Asia, there are multiple developments that have happened into the recent times. There is the withdrawal of USA that had happened from the continent. Okay. At the same time, there is an aggressive rise of China that is happening. So the USA had withdrawn from Asia, China is rising in the Asia, and at the same time, Ukraine war had started, and this Ukraine war has started. Okay. Now, basically, it has been provided that because of the Ukraine war, now the front of crisis, the front of conflict has shifted again to the Europe. Okay, so therefore it is being said that as USA withdrew from Afghanistan, the power struggle, power contention again shifted to Europe because at the same time, Ukraine war had got started. Now, when we talk about guys today's scenario, we have that the two major powers, that is Russia and China, they have developed a Russia-China axis and they are trying to undermine the global balance of power. So global balance of power, fine, after 1991 shifted severely in the favor of USA, but now they are trying to change that particular balance of power. Now, basically, when we talk about the Asian century and multipolarity, okay, in this particular direction, guys, the article is talking about that basically if the Asian century will be a century where the China will have the power, then that particular thing will be negative to India's interest. First of all, understand this particular thing that as power politics are changing in Asia, okay, as new countries are becoming powerful in Asia, we will find that there will be the shifting alliances that will come. Okay, the countries will change the alliances, the countries will change their loyalty in the favor of some other groupings. Then there will be the formal, informal, and secret and open and in between pacts will be there. For example, we talk about the quadrilateral security dialogue. So quadrilateral security dialogue is an open pact between the four countries, that is the US, Australia, Japan, and India. So this is one alliance which is a kind of an open alliance, but at the same time many secret alliances will also be formed. Alliances will be shifted, the countries will shift from the alliances. So a lot of tectonic change is going to come in this particular time. that is the 21st century of Asia. Now it has been provided that all these particular things will take away the relative stability of the current world order. Now what is the current world order? Current world order is this, that the USA is on decline, USA is on decline, and the China is still on the rise. So this current world order will get disturbed in the present times. Now it has been provided that multipolarity, multiple powers, it is desirable in theory, and India wants that the multiple powers needs to be there. But guys, understand this particular thing, that this multipolarity, it might not be very comfortable for India. Why? Because see this particular thing, that right now we see that the global financial order is West dominated. We have World Bank, we have IMF, multiple arms are there under the World Bank. So present financial order, global order is West dominated. Now as the rise of China will happen and China will become one of a substantial power, it will bring many of the disruptions. What disruptions will come? What disruptions will come? So we see this particular thing, that already there is a weaponization of globalization that is going on, weaponization of globalization that is going on, weaponization of trade. Now critical supply chains, they are dominated in few countries, for example China, and China had taken over that particular advantage. For example, when we talk about today electronic industry, rare earth materials are a very important component of the electronic industry, but today majority of rare earth metal supply is controlled by China. China has used that particular component in their own favor. Okay. Secondly, semiconductors today have become an important component in the modern day electronics, and in that arena also China holds a major control. So again, China can use that particular dominance in their own favor. So right now we see this particular thing, that the weaponization of global trade is going on. Okay. Now these particular things will pose a serious challenge to the present world order, that is the dollar based trade and Western payment system such as the SWIFT. Already we have seen this particular thing, that the Russia got banned from the SWIFT. So basically these challenges will be impacting against the West. It will destabilize the West, and what will happen? China, Russia, and the countries who are aligned to the China and Russia, they will be coming out with an alternative settlement, and this alternative settlement system that can emerge, or the trading arrangements that will emerge, they might be centered around the yuan. They might be centered around the yuan. Now when you talk about the yuan centered financial system or a dollar centered financial system, obviously dollar centered financial system is relatively better for India compared to the yuan centered financial system. So if the multipolarity will come, China will be a dominant power, and that particular thing will not be favorable to India because of the bad relations that India is having with the China. Is it clear or not? Now, the next thing that is coming here is that India is also hesitant to engage in the emergent Asian century for various reasons. Okay. Now, number one thing, guys, understand this particular thing, that as now the world order is going to change, India has always believed in more democratic. India has always believed in more democratic, orderly, and rule-based world order. Is it clear or not? But now, as the Asian century will come, what will happen? There will be a lot of chaos that will be coming in the meanwhile. There will be a lot of chaos that will be coming in the meanwhile. So basically, this chaos that will come, fine, will not be liked by India, and therefore this Asian century might not be accommodative of India's interest. Second thing, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the Asian century without the multipolar Asian century, we need to understand this particular thing, that a multipolar world is most likely to be a passing phenomena, and soon what will happen? A bipolar world will come, and this bipolar world will be the world dominated by USA and China. The world will be dominated by the USA and China. Now this particular thing, guys, will be bad. Why? Because if USA and China rivalry will come, India has to choose between USA and China is the India's neighbor who is having adversarial relation. And in that particular thing, either we need to support China, or if we don't want to support, then further more adversaries, more conflicts between India and China will increase. Then the third issue that comes here is that, guys, the bipolar world that will be emerging laterwards with the rise of the China, it will lead to great power accommodation between the USA and China. And if the power accommodation between the US and China comes, if USA accommodates China, then what will happen? The US, it means it will accept China's dominance. It will accept the China's sphere of influence. And the moment that particular thing will happen, what will happen? India's interest will be compromised. Because if China and USA will come together, okay, and if USA is giving support to China, then we will not get the support of USA against the China which we are getting it now. So all these particular problems will be coming. All these problems will India be facing when the world order will be changing towards the side of Asia, when China will become powerful. These particular things will be faced. So this is, guys, the article that has come in this particular line. Fine. I hope that you have understood this particular article. And now moving to the next article. Okay. So now the article, again the article is on the China, India-China between pre-1962 and now. India-China between pre-1960 and now. So the article will see with respect to GS paper number 2, international relation, India-China. International relation, within the international relation, India-China, will see this particular article. Now, so basically, guys, we saw this particular thing that recently the dispute between India and China has again increased. India and China disputes again has increased. Why? Because recently disputes in disputes in the Tawang sector in Arunachal Pradesh has come to limelight. So basically, the article is comparing that what was situation in 1962 and what is situation now, whether the situation has changed or whether the situation is the same. So analysis of India-China relations journey is being done here. Now, first of all, guys, when we talk about the India and China, we know this particular thing that the boundary between India and China can be divided in three sectors. We have the western sector, we have one western sector. Fine. Now in western sector we find this particular thing that the disputes is there, okay, in this particular sector. Then we have the middle sector. Now in middle sector much of disputes are not there. This particular part of the boundary is relatively peaceful, but still some areas of conflicts are here also. I'll talk about that. And then we have the eastern sector where the dispute majorly is in Arunachal Pradesh, and recently the Tawang sector clashes that had happened, they are in the Arunachal Pradesh. Now, first of all, how the changes are coming between India and China now. So basically what has happened? When we talk about the territorial dispute in 1950, territorial dispute involved whole of Aksai Chin. At that point of a time, Aksai Chin was claimed by India, and the NEFA, Northeastern Frontier Agency, which is Arunachal Pradesh, it was claimed by China. So this was the genesis of dispute in 1950s. Again, you can say Aksai Chin and NEFA, that is Arunachal Pradesh, they were also disputed that time of also, but Aksai Chin was claimed by India and NEFA was claimed by Arunachal Pradesh. Now, in 2022, the situations had got relatively changed. Number one, we see this particular thing that the Chinese have firmly occupied Aksai Chin, and India is guarding the Arunachal Pradesh. And now, after capturing the Aksai Chin, China wants to claim Arunachal Pradesh. Now, because of this particular thing, we have found that recently confrontation between India and China also happened. Now, we need to there is one more comparison point that can be taken, and this comparison point goes like this, that today we see this particular thing that differences in the western sector that were longer, that in the past were confined to the regions such as the Daulat Beg Oldi, fine, Demchok. Now Daulat Beg Oldi, Demchok, these are the points where confrontations between the India and China existed in western sector. So from here, the disputes have emerged to other areas which were traditionally not under dispute. For example, Depsang region, Galwan Valley, Pangong Lake, Hot Springs. Now these are all the regions. Where now China is trying to gain more hegemony. China is claiming these particular regions. We have seen this particular thing that the Galwan Valley dispute that happened between India and China in 2020. Since then, basically these two sides have disengaged, and many of the friction points they have withdrawn from these particular friction points. Okay, but still new areas are there are new areas which China is trying to claim. The next thing that comes here is that basically in middle sector also there are certain areas where we find certain disputes. For example, in middle sector, fine, there is Bharoti. Now Bharoti is a pasture, it is a grazing lands. Now Bharoti grazing lands, They are the north of the Chamoli in Uttarakhand. There also there is a dispute. Fine. From the past 7 days, the decades, the dispute is there. Though this particular area doesn't come too much into the news, but still, as China is now looking for new disputes around the LAC, this might be something which can become, which can again ignite here. Now, so presently we see this particular thing that now China has moved their posture towards the Arunachal Pradesh. Now, when we talk about Arunachal Pradesh, guys, LAC here is defined by 1914 McMahon line, and now China is trying to intrude in Tawang sector. Particularly, guys, understand this particular thing that Tawang sector has always been a region for which China has been very much sensitive and very much vocal. It is because, guys, the Tawang region is particularly very important for Tibetan Buddhism, and the people in the Arunachal Pradesh living around the Tawang sector and the people living in Tibet, fine, they have always have the close ties, and China is always concerned this particular thing that if Tawang and the Tibet people, they will maintain the ties, that what will happen, the democratic values of India might become a source of rebel even in the Tibet, and the people in Tibet will raise the revolt of democracy and all such kind of a thing. So they wanted to make Tawang as the part of their own. So therefore China is bringing the dispute now. There are other areas also, the tri-junction areas, okay, here also the dispute has come. Now, unlike in the past, where India did not focus too much on the boundary infrastructure, but now India is specifically focusing on boundary infrastructure. It is upgrading the post, it is enhancing the logistic capabilities, okay, the bunker facilities, heavy weaponry is being stationed in this particular region. This is something that India is focusing upon, now. Further, guys, when we talk about, guys, the relations, they have changed on one more particular fact. For example, earlier China was sympathizer of Pakistan, but it was giving indirect support to Pakistan. Okay, now the China has given the support to Pakistan on Kashmir issue, but it was indirect, it was subtle. But now this support has become outright, this support has become vocal. Now China openly is working with the Pakistan, to internationalize the Kashmiri issue. Openly, China is involving with the Pakistan and giving the support under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Okay, these things are happening. Okay, so basically the dispute that we talk about between the India and China, it has become more vocal in the present times. The dispute between India and China has become more vocal. China, many things which it was doing indirectly in 1962, now it is doing it directly, and these particular disputes will further continue in the times to come, because I told you that as the 21st century is going to be the Asian century, the conflict will be there between the two Himalayan tigers, okay, where India and China will be there. China will try to dominate. So therefore, China is going to manufacture these disputes in more numbers. Fine. Now, moving to the next article, guys. So basically, this particular article, India and Austria to sign migration and mobility agreement to shore up ties. Now, this particular article, guys, we are going to see with respect to, again, GS paper number 2, IR International Relations. Is it clear or not? Okay, guys, one more thing I will do from the next class is that with the article at this particular place only, I will write in the PDF that in which particular section the article will be relevant. So for example, GS paper number 2 IR, I will provide this detail in the PDF itself from next class. Okay, chalo. So what the article reads, first of all, let's read the heading. India and Austria to sign migration and mobility agreement to shore up ties. So basically, guys, the Minister of External Affairs is visiting Austria, and as the Minister of External Affairs will be visiting Austria, both these particular countries will be signing the comprehensive migration and mobility partnership agreement. Comprehensive migration and mobility partnership agreement. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about India and the European countries, there are certain irritants between the countries, and within the irritants, one irritant is illegal migrants from India that are going to these particular countries. Okay, so basically when we talk about, guys, any particular country, there is national interest There is a national interest, which is the most supreme thing. National interest focuses that their own people, first of all, should be provided all the benefits. Their concern is the most important, it is most paramount. Now when immigrants or illegal migrants of any country go into that particular country, obviously there will be the competition over the resources, and therefore that country will try to deport back the illegal migrants who have come. But for that particular thing, there needs to be a formal treaty, there needs to be a formal agreement. Now between India and many of the European countries, we find this particular thing, that Indian immigrants have reached there, but formal agreement to deport these people back to India is not there. And because of that particular thing, irritants are developing between India and many of the European countries. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. India is trying to sign the free trade agreement. India wants to enhance the economic relations with the Europe, because when we talk about, guys, India's manufacturing sector, Europe and Western Europe, North America can be a very important component. So therefore, what has happened now? What has happened now? India has signed this comprehensive migration and mobility partnership agreement, and the similar kind of agreements India is also trying to sign with the countries such as France, United Kingdom, Germany, and Finland. Okay, it is signing with that, but with the Austria, it will be signed. Today it will be signed. Okay, today, that is Monday, it will be signed. Now, by this particular agreement, what will happen? The long pending disputes between the countries to curb the illegal immigration will be tackled, which will be taken care of. Okay. Now, this particular tool, this particular agreement, it is going to be very important. This particular agreement, it is going to be very important to combat the illegal migration that has happened. There will be swift return of illegal migrants, that Indian illegal migrants who have reached there, they will be sent back. And for this particular thing, there will be a joint working group that will be established, and this joint working group will solve this particular entire problem. Now, this agreement is also historic in one particular sense, that it is the first trip to Austria by Indian Foreign Minister in the last 27 years. So now our Minister of External Affairs, Mr. S. Jaishankar, will be visiting in 27 years to Austria, and here this particular thing will be finalized. Now, guys, this particular agreement will be broader part of long pending issues that have been there between India, European Union free trade agreement. Is it clear or not? So to bring the Indo-India-European free trade agreement, this is a eventual and a very important step that has to be taken, and now it will be signed today. Okay, so guys, this is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood this particular article, and now we'll move to next article. Okay, now you don't need to go beyond this. Okay, guys, you don't need to go beyond this. Fine. Now understand this particular thing, that see, it's not expected that a direct question on the India and Australia, particularly on this particular aspect, will come. But what are the India's priorities that India is looking in the present times? Find how India is very keen to enhance its trade relation with the Europe, and in that, this is one step that India has taken. Fine. Now, moving to next article. Okay. India asks Pakistan to free prisoner, says ready to solve humanitarian matters. India asks Pakistan to free prisoners, says ready to solve humanitarian matters. Now, guys, basically what has happened, or what is the content matter of this particular article, is that India and Pakistan right now is not having very good relations. We find this particular thing, that over the last 3 to 4 years, particularly after the Uri incident that happened, relations between India and Pakistan has been very bad. In this particular line, there are certain confidence building measures that are happening between India and Pakistan, which can change, or which can improve the situation. Now, guys, first of all, we see this particular thing, that because of a long boundary between India and Pakistan that is there, many number of times, many civilians, they venture in Pakistan. Many of the fishermen, when they are fishing around the Gulf of Khambat, etc., they are taken captive by the Pakistani authorities, claiming that they have entered in the internal waters of Pakistan. So many of the civilians, many of the fishermen, they are in custody in Pakistan, and many of the Pakistani fishermen, they are in custody in India. So basically, from time to time, the countries, India and Pakistan, they share the list of the prisoners that are lodged in each other country's prisons. Now, this particular process happens every year. So guys, every year on 1st January, every year on January 1 and July 1. Every year on January 1 and July 1, the two countries, India and Pakistan, share the list of the prisoners that are lodged into the each other's jail. And this is done as a part of 2008 Agreement on Consular Access. Again, this thing is done as a part of 2008 Agreement on Consular Access. Okay. So therefore, now they have shared, they have exchanged that particular list. Is it clear or not? Now, basically, guys, the article is talking about 339 Pakistani civilian prisoners, 95 Pakistani fishermen, and India has given the list. You don't need to go too much into the detail. Along with this particular thing, there is one more confidence building measure that is there between the India and Pakistan, and on that particular thing also, they have shared information. Now, the two sides have also exchanged list of their nuclear facilities. Okay. Now, this is a part of a 1988 agreement between India and Pakistan. Now, we know this particular thing, guys, that the Pakistan, when we talk about India, we see this particular thing that India had developed the nuclear capabilities. Though India's nuclear capabilities are not driven by are driven by the no first use policy, and at the same time, guys, when we talk about the Pakistan also has done a lot of work on the nuclear capabilities. India, Pakistan both have nuclear capabilities, both are neighbors, and both are having adversarial relations. So therefore, building trust on this particular line is very much essential. So therefore, since 1988, an agreement has been an agreement has been there between India and Pakistan that they will share the information about their nuclear facilities. They will ensure that the attacks on their nuclear facilities should never happen. And as part of this process, they share information, and that information sharing also has happened. Okay. So this is, guys, about this particular article. So these are the two important points which are there. Apart from that, you don't need to go too much in detail in this particular article. So this is the most important thing which is there. Fine. Now, moving to next article. Now, this particular article, guys, just be taken as a case study. So first of all, let's read the heading of the article. Women in driver's seat but awaits parivartan in mindset. So we have GS paper number 4, and in GS paper number 4 there are the two topics. Number 1, the topic of attitude. There is a topic of attitude, and then there are the topic of human values. Now, basically, guys, you can use it as a case study. What happened? The DTC, that is the Delhi Transport Corporation, DTC, and Ashok Leyland and DTC, Delhi Transport Corporation, they signed an agreement to induct more and more women drivers into the buses that are plying in Delhi. That experiment was taken to fulfill two objectives. Objective number 1, basically the male dominated workplaces should welcome more and more women. So when we talk about the occupation of a driver, it is male dominated. So more women are to be brought. That is one thing, it will give opportunity to women, number 1. Number 2, when in the male dominated places, women workers will be there, attitudinal change in the minds of the people will come. Okay. Thirdly, guys, basically it is also a broader part of gender sensitization campaign that government has taken, But it has been seen that though women got inducted, and now for this thing Mission Parivartan started, and 11 female drivers were inducted. This is a good thing. But still, it has been found that these women are facing problems. Why? Because the attitude of male is still not favorable. For example, let's say if a breakdown of a DTC bus happens, basically the people who have boarded the bus, the passengers, they will be criticizing them that you don't know how to operate a bus. Such kind of a stereotypes, such kind of a prejudices, they are witnessed on regular basis. So it has been provided, guys, that we need to see these particular developments as an opportunity, and a broader attitudinal change, mindset change is needed. Okay. But yes, anyhow, it was a good attempt that was taken by the DTC and Delhi government, and in your ethics GS paper number 4 case studies related issues, you can mention this kind of example as well. Okay. So that is all, guys, about this particular thing. However, you don't need to go and track it. Just in one line, you can note down this particular case study. Okay. Now, the next article. Next article, unemployment rate rises to 8.3% in December, highest in 16 months, says report. Now, this particular article, guys, this is a data point which can be used in your GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3 answers. So, when we talk about the unemployment, in the answers related to employment, unemployment, we can use it. First of all, one thing, guys, I wanted to tell you that when we talk about the employment and unemployment, for that we have two major data, major compilations that we have. Number one, there is periodic labor force survey report. There is periodic labor force survey report. Now, periodic labor force survey report is released by NSO, okay, National Statistical Office, under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, this data is the most credible data for employment trends in India. But apart from that, there are certain private agencies, private think tanks also that are releasing their data. For example, CMIE. Now, CMIE stands for Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. Now, this CMIE also releases its data with respect to the unemployment rate. You will find that always the CMIE data will be higher than the NSO. If NSO will say that, okay, unemployment rate is 4.2, their unemployment rate will be more than nearly doubled. Okay. But what is more credible? Guys, more credible is though PLFS, because this is the government owned data. CMI, it is also having a lot of credibility as vis-a-vis the private think tanks and their data is concerned. Okay. Now, just one more thing, guys, that see, all often the question and its tone will also be important. So if a question is having a critical tone, to complement that critical tone, you can take the CMI data. Fine. Now, what this CMI data is all about? So, CMI data says that there are the gradual changes in unemployment rate that has come. So, according to the CMI data, it is being said that the unemployment rate, it increased to 8.3% in December, which is highest in the 16 months. So, it was 8% in the previous month, that is in November, and in December it reached to 8.3%. Fine. Now, differently, urban and rural unemployment data has also been provided. So, for example, urban unemployment, according to them, urban unemployment increased to 10.09%. Okay. But rural unemployment, it is right now 7.4%. So, rural unemployment is 7.4% and urban employment is around 10.09%. And in total, the unemployment is at 8.3%. So, you can note down this particular data. But I'll not suggest you that you need to remember or mug up the exact data, for example, 10.09%. Why? Because it is a month's data. You need to keep range in your mind. Is it clear? You need to keep just a range in your mind, not required that you just remember to the points that what is the change that has happened. Okay. However, no need to go and track the date month by month and state by state data. For example, Rajasthan, Haryana, what is the unemployment rate in all the states? You don't need to go too much in that particular microscopic line. Okay. Now, guys, why I have taken this particular article? You need to understand one very important aspect that I want to talk here. Guys, see this particular thing. Now, if you read the heading looks that yes, it is really very important. Okay, and aspirants, they are going to make the entire note of this particular article that has come. But is it really that important? No. So you need to guys understand this particular thing, that what is actually important for the exam, that needs to be given more attention, and the things just the heading looks very serious is not that much important. You need to understand that particular skill which we try to impart here in the classes as well. Now, guys, taking the mains practice question for today. So the mains practice question, it is from GS paper number 2 IR section, and the question says that there is emergence of an Asian centric century which poses serious concerns for India. Discuss. So it will be a 10 marker question. Okay, so that is all, guys, about it, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. And guys, if you have any doubt, if there is any comment, if there is anything you want to ask, you can ask it in the comment box. Okay, and meanwhile, I would like to thank you all for all your support, for all your support that you have given, and a very good morning to all. A very good morning to Shumug Sundari, Radhika, Venki, Madhusmita, Harshad. Okay, so their name is Papaji, Vidyashri, Jagadshwari, Kavita, Vivek, Shruti, Venkat, Pragati, Abhishek, Guru, Drav, Ashita, Anil, Meenu, Jarpula Dashrath, Yasu, Niharika, Trilochan, Darshan, Krishnakant, Avesh, Kanika, Kavita, Trilochan, Shraddha, Kanika, Tanzil, Anthony, Lohit, Dava, Shraddha Kumari, Niharika, Aarti, Sandeep, Ramsiya, Avnesh, Ramsiya, Sania, Akashdeep, Amit, student Naeem, Kundan, Sadhana, Lakshmi, fine student. So you made a lot of comments, but now you retracted your messages. Gorinath, Faiz, Lohit, Pandi Santosh, Amber Sharma, Seema, Vaka, Aman Raj, Aman Kumar, okay, Chinta Kuntal Chandi. Okay, sorry if I have pronounced somebody's name wrong. Karthik, Vipin, Anand, Spurti, Dhanshri, Mahesh Bhai, Praful. You are the symbol of selfless. Thank you, Praful, for such a nice comment. Sir, please add important articles of Indian Express as well. Okay. So we are taking for that also. Vaishnavi Dagar, Dhirendra, Fazil, Manju, Brijesh, Durga, Kapil, Sandeep, Sundari, Brijesh, Karthik, Rajeshwari, Mahesh Bhai, and Deva Prasad. Thank you, everyone, and apologies if I pronounced anybody's name wrong. Apologies for that. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, guys, please take care of yourself.